Good morning, everybody. It is, Wednesday, the 13th of December, 2023. It's about 9:45 in the morning, Central Standard Time. So I haven't had the TV or radio on for the past, 45 minutes. So I may be a little bit behind on a couple things, but here goes. You got to remember, hey, I'm a clairvoyant, clairaudient, so everything is for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research. The full description is down in the box, disclaimer, all that nonsense, and the Buy Me a Coffee link is also in there. Crazy stuff happened. Sunday night, I got this little beep on the phone saying, this charge went through, and I'm like, wait a second. And because it was quirky, my bank immediately blocked my card. So literally I had to go take all sorts of identification down to the bank on Monday, prove my identity. I'm waiting for the new card to come in the mail. I figured out what triggered it. Back in 2020, when I was doxxed by the BLM brats, I did a lot of internet surfing and so forth, and I needed to pull up for one time on one of these background check things. Well, it turns out that this background check website, I guess they are desperate for money because I used them once to pull up something. They decided to charge me a whole chunk of change for like a past due and future subscription time. So, folks, if you ever went on something just to pull up something, a one-time purchase from a whacked site, make sure you go in and lock everything down and basically delete and block that site from everything. Yeah, I did end up calling. Initially I got a stupid idiot in Indonesia for their call center, but then, it's, if you need to find out something, there's this publication called hoovers.com that literally you can find out who are the corporate officers of any corporation that's registered within the United States, along with their direct ways of contact. So, yeah, I did. I pulled up the company. I got as much information off the internet as possible. Then I walked down to the public library, found their most recent copy of Hoover's, and I looked up the company, and I got through to the executive president, administrative assistant, and I gave her an earful. And she was like, oh my God, how did you track us down? How did you get this number? And I'm like, well, let's put it, kiddo. I know how to use a public library for research. Yeah, so if you need to find the big shots with somebody, pull up as much information as you can, then go to the public library, and it's hoovers.com. Yeah, so it's the end of Hanukkah, so I have my goofy t-shirt on, sweatshirt kind of thing. So happy Hanukkah, everybody. Thank you for all the good wishes. Let's get started with my notes. Some of it is stuff that I should have put up on Monday, but hey, poop happens and we live with it. Every time I see stuff pertaining to Henry and Rachel, I'm getting constantly getting the message that he is trying to use his two aunts as an intermediary, and basically his uncle Charles Spencer is like ready to toss him into into the Thames. But he's trying to use the connection of his Aunt Jane because her husband, Robert Fellows, was in the service of QE2. So he's trying to backdoor to get his way in and stuff, and it's just not working out well for them. We all know the court case blew up in his face, and because of federal law here in the States, they had to release certain tax information had to be made public. And both Duchess of Narsussex and Royal Grift, they did a really, really good analysis on it. And it's ironic that they have everything registered in Delaware. Now, if you go back and start doing some homework on these tax laws for nonprofit organizations, many of them were put through when Bill Clinton was in office. And then even more were pushed through during the Barry admin when JoJo was the VP. Well, yeah, because JoJo, after Clinton was out during the Bush admin, he started creating all these things. And they needed to have liberal laws for nonprofits. So people who want to create a scam charity can do that. If a nonprofit is registered in Delaware, only 5% of the monies that come in need to go towards benefiting the actual person or something, whatever, of the charity. So 95% can be pocketed for administrative and operating costs. And these laws were put through via JoJo. And I mean, so it's like JoJo's been doing a lot of stuff. Like right now, this past week, the Z guy has been in town. And he's asking for a boatload of more money. Well, the Z guy doesn't realize he's bled the well dry. There is no more money. And they're saying, oh, the GOP is blocking aid to the Z guy. Well, yeah, because they're sending all this money to the blue and yellow flag country when we need it to basically shut down our southern borders. I'm talking all the way from California to Florida. Everything. The ones that come through the Rio Grande and the ones that get dumped off on the beaches of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. I mean, yesterday I had to go do something and I ran into this idiot woman at the metro station. And she goes, I go, yeah, it's like, they're like, why can't we buy a ticket here? I go, hey, Pete Butthead, most of the commuter train stations are shut down till the new year because the budget money's run out. And they're like, she's like, why? I go, because Pete Butthead doesn't know what he's doing. And she goes, well, that's, I go, stop whining. It's like our country is in such a state because all the illegal communist jihadist wetbacks coming in. And she goes on, well, my husband is Hispanic and that's derogatory. And I looked at her and I go, listen, woman, my nickname from my family is Little Dago. Because in the summer, if I'm outside, I tan so dark that I can easily be mistaken for either being Hispanic, someone from a South American country, or an Arab. So I looked at her, I go, excuse me, but since the 18-somethings, the term wetback has always been used to describe a person who illegally comes into the United States by swimming, wading through the Rio Grande River. It isn't exclusive to Mexicans or people of Hispanic heritage. It means any person entering illegally via the Rio Grande is a wetback. And of course, there was a room full of people waiting for the train, and I just had her. I called her out on it. And she's like, she started sniveling and ran away because I called her out. And when I told her, hey, my nickname is Little Dago, so I am the pot calling your kettle black, and I can. Thank good I've got a rich heritage. But yeah, it's the Z guy is begging for money. We don't have it. And they're blaming the GOP for stalling the bill because they want to include provisions to secure our border. Now, okay, like I said, I kind of like turn the TV and radio off around 9 a.m. Central Standard Time so I could get myself in the mental state to do this. And I guess it's all over the news stations to see whether or not Hunter Boy is going to show up for his, he's been subpoenaed for a deposition. And also, they're waiting to see whether or not he shows up. So after I finish this, I'll find out whether he did or he didn't. And it's like Hunter wants to do it publicly, but the guys doing the interviewing want to have it private. Well, it's kind of like, yeah, if he's in private, he can't constantly make that Fifth Amendment claim. But we're waiting to see if he's a no-show, then he's in contempt of Congress and he goes straight into the pokey. But I have a feeling he's going to do as much as possible to stall his testimony, because when he starts talking, it's going to provide a lot of information. And today the House is going to be voting on whether to, it's an impeachment inquiry vote. So basically the House is voting on whether or not to start investigating JoJo more in depth in order to impeach him for his misdeeds. I mean, right now it's like his son is up there. He's for like tax evasion. There's a couple others that I heard. I mean, treating women badly. And then plus now pow-pow charges. For supposedly such a smart dude, he never read his own state statutes pertaining to owning something listed in the Second Amendment. I mean, I've read the laws for here in Illinois, and because I have, I don't need to get a CCP, concealed carry permit, because I read the laws. And I know what I legally can and cannot do. Obviously, Dumbo, I mean, JoJo's oblivious. I mean, he's Barry's puppet. I guess Hunter, from all the illegal substances he's had for his own personal pleasure and enjoyment, how many gray cells left in his skull are left that are functioning? So, it's Hunter in this, it's all stall tactics. And it's kind of ironic because there's more proof coming out, and it just proves that, you know, if you're in the DNC, the odds are that you may go scot-free on a lot of stuff. But I did talk to someone else, and in Vegas, the sports books, right now there's people placing bets on Hunter's stuff. I mean, is he going to testify? Is he going to go to trial? How many years is he going to get? So there's people actually betting on how bad it's going to blow up for Hunter. Yeah, people bet on everything. In the UK, they always used to bet on what color the Queen's hat would be at Ascot. So, what else have I took notice of? Yeah, I'm sure many of us have all seen one of the versions of Miracle on 34th Street about Macy's. Well, I guess Macy's is now, it's a public corporation. Well, now one group is going back in and buying up all the shares to turn it back into a private company. Which would be a good thing because I used to work for Macy's back in the 1980s. And back then it was a great place to work. And I've talked to people now and they said, oh, ever since new ownership came in and yada yada, it's pretty crappy. So maybe this becoming a private entity again will be a good thing. I haven't done too much digging on it, but I talked to someone and they said, the guys that are putting together the cash flow to purchase it kind of have a tentacle out to the old Gimbels family. Well, yeah, one of the Gimbel kids was involved with the salvage of the Andrea Doria. And yeah, one of my crazy cousins was his buddy in pulling stuff in the salvage rights on the Andrea Doria that went down. So I'm like, okay, so the stuff they found on the ship that they salvaged and auctioned, is that money now going to go and buy their old rival from over 100 years ago? Because it was Macy's versus Gimbels? So could it be Gimbels taking over Macy's? I have to do some more digging and make a few more phone calls. Yeah, I just want to say I hope everything works out for my viewers down in Queensland, down under. I guess their head of state for that area, Anastasia Pollock, finally put in her resignation. Yeah, she was the fool that built the quote-unquote detainment quarantine areas for people who had the 19C. Basically, she built her own version of Mauthausen. So, yeah, if you end up, those of you in Queensland, since that thing is still built, if you have any of the Hamas, Hezbollah, Israeli-Palestinian army family members all escaping and want refuge, why don't you put them in that replica camp of Mauthausen? That would be a good place to store them. Oh, and yeah, we've all seen, I guess, a couple of the college presidents have, UPenn, that chick has resigned. Well, they're also the stupid ones that also spent $40,000 to have Dylan Mulvaney come and speak, and a couple of the outlets counted there were about a dozen people, but $40,000 for that transvestite to basically put on a comedic performance. $40,000 could have paid somebody, that could have been a scholarship for a kid to pay for the year. Yeah, instead it went to a transvestite who whines and like, oh, I am like, I'm like, you're a scrawny guy, yeah. You're not macho enough to be a real man, so you gotta pretend to be a girl. But yeah, UPenn's Liz McGill has resigned, and yes, one of the things she authorized before she bailed was the $40,000 paycheck to Dylan Mulvaney. And now it's, I guess, University of California, Berkeley. His has been added to the list of American colleges, universities that promote anti-Semitism on campus. So we need to keep outing these college presidents who condone this behavior. And it's like, they're like, oh my God, oh my God. And I go, yeah. I mean, we've got these creepazoids in the United States. These creepazoids are in the UK. It's getting whacked because the EU is trying to ship as many as possible through the channel. And we know that basically because of human rights crap, certain organizations do pull them out of the channel and bring them into England and Wales. Well, a whole bunch are actually being dumped into Ireland. Ireland is part of the EU. And now Ireland is now trying to pass a law, which is basically censorship, that if anybody dares to make a comment that one of these refugees considers fearful or could incite violence or is derogatory to them, the Irish government is now able to seize all records from your electronic devices, and you can get into big ass trouble. I mean, if you don't talk nice about trans, non-binary people, I mean, basically, the citizens of Ireland have surrendered their right to privacy by this bullshit, by becoming part of the EU. Now, I wonder how many people are now going to head up north to Belfast and Londonderry and try to move into Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, which is not an EU area. Yeah, you're going to have Irish refugees going to the UK portion of Ireland that they've always wanted to be rejoined as one giant country. Well, that small area is now saving the ass for a bunch of people in Ireland. Hold on one second. Okay, now, like I was saying, these people want Ireland to be one country again, but now that the right to privacy has been obliterated, it's going to be interesting because they're under the rule of the EU, and the EU basically takes their marching orders from Brussels, NATO. Because and NATO is the one that instigated all the nonsense going on with the blue and yellow flag country, and the Z guy is NATO's puppet, EU's puppet. I mean, right now it's like there's so much going on here. The EU doesn't want all these jihadists and North Africans and the communists, the CCP army in Central Europe. So yeah, they're shipping them over here to Central America, having them in total cush so they can walk into the United States, become a wetback. Well, we know China, the Big Red Sea, has been sending in a lot of pharmaceuticals. And they're now catching people, the wetbacks, with a large amount of pharmaceuticals. But right now, don't forget that for a while there was this one site called Top Hatter. Well, now that's been replaced by Temu. And there's that other company, Shein, which has the cheap wear once and throw it away clothing. Okay, well, a lot of that stuff comes delivered in a padded package, padded envelope. And if it's under a certain dollar value, U.S. Customs doesn't look twice at it. And if they have it listed as clothing, they don't look at it, let alone x-ray it. So, how many capsules or pill format of pharmaceuticals are being sent into the U.S. via that customs loophole? Yeah, everyone who's ordering from that slave labor merchandise site, Temu, for every one legit package, there's probably 4 or 5 smaller packages being drop shipped that are filled with illegal pharmaceuticals. So, if people stop shopping from them, from these Big Red Sea based slave labor corporations, maybe the customs agents will start paying attention to see repetitive addresses getting little packages over and over and over. But right now with Barry's admin, it's like, it will take an act of Congress to push that through. But right now, it's like I said, they're busy with the Biden bullshit. Another thing that's going up is allegedly the United Nations, the UN, that plop of ground on the island of Manhattan that basically belongs to no one. Yeah, if a criminal crosses into UN property, he can't get arrested in NYC because that's sanctuary area. It belongs to every country. Imagine the extradition fight to get him out. Well, the UN is now telling everybody in the Middle East, oh, we need a ceasefire and we have to create, they created this safe zone called Al Mawasi. Well, now all these Gaza idiots are going to this area, and they're bitching, moaning, complaining because there's no running water, so there's no toilets or showers, there's no food, there's no grocery stores, there's no bakery, there's no meat market, there's no medical aid. Well, hey, where did all those aid packages that were sent there, where did those go to? Right into the quartermaster's warehouse for the Hamas army. That's where they went. We got to keep remembering these cults, women and children are raised. And the men are raised to believe that if they sacrifice themselves for the better good to spread their ideology, they go straight to paradise. So I don't know why these women and children are whining and complaining. Hey, if you starve to death, you're doing it for the better good of your cult. And you're going to go straight to paradise. Yeah. They're raised. They want their ideology worldwide. So stop whining, stop complaining, and suck it up. Why don't you do what Marta Goebbels did to her kids? They'll all go directly to paradise and out of this hostile situation. Yeah, especially now that again, it's more and more the Yemenites, the Houthis, which, like I've said, they're horrible people. They are on the mission to shut down all the shipping lanes in the Red Sea. A Norwegian cargo ship was being hit with Houthi missiles because it might be sailing near Israeli waters. Yeah, so if they're in the international water zone, but their path of sailing is parallel to the Israeli border, and that's because the guys have to put in their shipping logs ahead of time, their shipping plan, like a flight plan, how they're going to go. The Houthis, when they come up to go into the Red Sea to hit the Suez Canal, a lot of ships are there in a holding pattern to get through the canal. The Yemenite Houthis are using them they're sitting ducks. So they're basically they're sending missiles to destroy all these ships. And hey, they just had the COP28 conference. Where's little Greta Thunberg? Because some of these are oil tankers. And if one of those missiles hits an oil tanker, imagine the oil spill mess that is going to create. Where's Greta? Why isn't she down there telling the Houthis that what they're doing is destructive to the environment? Why didn't the COP28 people? That was held in the Shiite area. Why aren't they telling those Shiites to knock it off? But, hey, it's the game plan it's basically China supporting the I-cults. And then once the I-cults grab stuff, China moves in and then puts them in their own little version. Hey, China has proven, hey, by the Uyghurs, that they don't like the I-cult people. This is all part of China's plan. Yeah, they're saying Vlad is shrewd. He stays friendly with China, so he knows what to be prepared for. Especially now, it's like, okay, the Big Red Sea has started this one illness where the kids are getting sick where you have fluid in your lungs. Well, it's now been announced that these refugees, migrants, kids are now coming down with diphtheria. Yeah, they're basically infecting some of their own children, sending them to school. So the whole school comes down with diphtheria, which basically has been eradicated out of the Western world for decades. And now kids are getting sick with it. And the sad part is that a lot of modern physicians don't even know what it is, let alone the symptoms. Whooping cough, tuberculosis, diphtheria. We've had outbreaks of chickenpox, German measles, rubella, malaria. I'm waiting for cholera, typhoid, and typhus to start breaking out. So, yeah, people, what they're doing is they're bringing back illnesses that many people thought were eradicated. And watch out, there may be polio outbreaks also. Because a lot of these kids have never had vaccinations to protect them from these illnesses. And we've got a big group of society that is vulnerable. But they aren't going to bump off with the 19C and its variants. They're now going to go after the kids. So, if you've got children, make sure they're up to date on all these things, and parents make sure you get up to date on all the symptoms of these crazy illnesses coming in. So, yeah, thank you, everybody. I hope everyone has a good week. Today's Wednesday. I'll have my next video up for you on Friday. And if you're going out shopping, I don't see anything really bad popping up, but you got to make sure that you stay aware of your surroundings. I mean, don't go out wearing all your expensive jewelry. Wear a cheap watch. Get yourself a fanny pack and wear it under a bulky sweater to hold your wallet and so forth. And ditch that big buck cell phone, I would go to a mass market store and buy the cheapest cell phone you can find. I mean, this was 30 bucks. So if a kid steals it, they're going to realize, oh, this is a piece of shit. So don't flash the good jewelry when you're out shopping. Keep your money in a fanny pack. Yeah, wear a bulky sweater and just have it around your tummy. Yeah, you might be carrying a handbag or tote bag for your packages, but at least they're not getting close enough. They really would have to get physically close to you to scan the info off your cards. So just stay aware of your surroundings, stay off your phone, and you'll be okay. They're going to target the idiots that are like, boom, 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 with their, doing this thing with their phone, okay? When they see that, they know you're an easy target to rob. Keep your eyes aware, and you'll be okay. And tell your kids that too. And grandkids. So, it's been over 30 minutes, so I'm going to let you go. Everybody have a great evening. And I know in the chat we'll be talking about Hunter and what went down with him. See you on Friday. Bye-bye.